Okay, so talked about Wiggins to the Warriors already. Now we're talking about D'Lo to the Wolves. Karl-Anthony Towns' best friend is on his team now. That'll make him happy. I'm sure that was a top priority for the Wolves, but they also just wanted a point guard who could actually create some offense, make this team more exciting, and D'Angelo Russell could be that. I mean, the obvious thing to think about is a D'Lo, Karl-Anthony Towns pick and roll. It's pretty good. I mean, if you trap Russell, Towns can go nuts in the open court. If you switch, D'Lo can beat your big, Towns can post up on your guard. Unless you want to experiment with like a taller guy on D'Lo to anticipate the switch, which, okay, that'll happen depending on the team. If you don't step up on D'Lo after he gets the screen from Towns, he will pull up on you, and his mid-range stuff has been really good. The threes are continuing to get better. I mean, he's shooting 37% on 10 threes a game. That's pretty damn awesome, I would say. So that's going to be tough to defend. And there's going to be some teams and some bigs who are just not able to do it. And that pairing alone will make this Wolves offense better, in my opinion. I'd be pretty surprised if it didn't. Because Wiggins, I mean, he and Towns just didn't have much of a partnership. And also Wiggins just wasn't that good. We'll see what happens with him on the Warriors, but D'Lo is certainly the better player right now. So that's that. I think Towns could definitely use his playmaking to get D'Lo some open shots if teams double Towns and then D'Lo is smart about moving off the ball. So there's something interesting there. So that's all great. I think D'Lo is going to be able to beat some guys off the dribble. I think they should definitely experiment with staggering these two somewhat. I mean, you definitely want these two out there a lot because I think that unlocks the real Timberwolves team, which we don't know how good that team is just yet, but it could also just give you a chance to not be terrible when Karl-Anthony Towns is not playing. Looking at the on-off stuff, when Karl-Anthony Towns is not in the game, the Wolves' offensive rating is 99, aka terrible. Funny enough, their defense also is terrible when he's in the game, and okay, defense, we're going to have to talk about that too, but I want to acknowledge that the Wolves could actually have not just a competent NBA offense, but an above-average one, and that is good. That's a big deal. And there's a chance that through that, they can improve their defense because they can simply just not be running back all the time and hopefully not turning the ball over a lot and stuff. So that's all great. The Wolves have two dudes who can drop 30 points at any given night. They can play off of each other. That's awesome. And they have a lot of versatility between posting up and D'Lo doing his thing and all that. Now, if we look at the rest of the team, I'm most intrigued probably by Malik Beasley. I've been on the Beasley train for a couple seasons. I have said various times that I think he could give you a solid 15, 16 a game if you just simply give him the minutes and the shots, but Denver was pretty loaded, so it wasn't going to happen. I hope he is playing like at least 25 minutes a game right from the go. I mean, if we look at, 2 seasons ago he was making threes, it was 40% on 5 threes a game 2 years ago. Like, I think that guy is worth holding on to, especially because I don't think it's going to take much to re-sign him. I mean, we're going to have to see. As of right now, the Wolves, they do have, they got some money to play with after this season. They're sitting at about $95 million, and to me, Beasley is the only guy you consider re-signing right now. So, okay. They still have Layman for a couple years, and he's a solid enough guy who can just make an open shot for you. So, okay, there's some shooting there. And then you're hoping Culver and Okogie and, basically those two can just be competent offensive players for you, and that's a process. I mean, Culver had a stretch recently where he was putting up double-digit points almost every game. He's fallen back down since. I still don't believe in him as a shooter really at all. Again, that recent stretch for him, which was about maybe 10 games or so, he had some shooting nights, 2 for 4 against the Cavs, 3 for 5 against the Grizzlies. He had 3 for 6 against Houston, 4 for 10 against the Raptors. So, okay, he had a couple games, but I don't know. I'm just not convinced Jarrett Culver is going to be a shooter unless he redoes his jump shot a little bit because his elbow's flying out like crazy. So he's a wait and see for me. And to me, that's still the most important thing. Like, if you've got reliable shooting around Towns and D'Lo, then this offense could pop a bit. As far as other ways to improve the team, they still have 2 picks. They got their own pick this year as well as the Brooklyn pick, okay? And they could have some money to play with even after they keep whoever they want to keep. So maybe a mid-level guy, something like that. Now let's talk about the defense. I think so much of their defense is still riding on Towns stepping up on that side of the floor. I think he's got the athleticism and the size for it. I don't know if it's a matter of he just simply doesn't know how to play defense in the NBA or if he is not playing hard enough. I don't totally know. I mean, I don't think the slogan of defense is all effort really applies that much anymore. I mean, it still does a little bit, but it's like you have to have the brain for defense nowadays because there's so much shooting, and sometimes you have to switch when the original plan wasn't to switch and things like that. And if it's not going to be him that steps up defensively, then I just don't know how good this team can really be there. I mean, Okogie, all right, Okogie could be their defensive heart, but he's only going to be able to do so much for you. D'Lo is not a defender, but I also think you can just put him on whoever most games and you're not going to get killed there. Maybe that means Okogie has to start just because you can have a dude who can kind of get on guards a little bit. I mean, Culver, I think he can be a good defender too, but I think Okogie has a higher ceiling defensively than Culver does, so we'll see how they manage all that. I mean, to me, the formula for this team is great on offense, not sucking on defense. Can they do it? We're going to have to wait and see. Let's talk about this draft pick thing. They definitely wanted D'Angelo Russell. I mean, top 3 protected after next season. I think without knowing what they're going to do this offseason, I would say the ceiling for them next year is probably 37 wins in the Western Conference. You know, exciting team, competitive most nights, don't make the playoffs, but going in the right direction, okay? That is usually a team that would like to have their draft pick. And while of course the lottery is random, if the Wolves are decent next year, they're probably not going to get their pick. I mean, they only get if they finish in the bottom 3. They are betting that they can build this team without their pick next season or without their pick in 2022. Because that's just flat out unprotected if the first one doesn't convert. But again, they do have their 2 picks this year, so if they end up hitting on one of them, both of them, whether that's through actually using the pick or trading it, then that could still be good enough. There's also a scenario where the Wolves are not that good. Maybe they win like 28, 29 games, and they're bad, but they simply don't finish with one of the bottom 3 picks, or the top 3 picks, depending on how you want to say it. And so they're bad, but they just don't get their pick anyway. So there's definitely a scenario in which the Wolves do not look good at the end of this, but they're definitely going for it a little bit, man. They're saying we need D'Angelo Russell, we desperately need some sort of jolt into this team, and it helps that he's also karl-Anthony Towns' friend, so see how it goes. I mean, I guess I'm lukewarm on the move because, again, for the draft risk, but also I don't totally trust this organization to build the team around these 2 guys. I mean, I love this from an offensive standpoint, but you got to get the guys around him. You got to hope Culver makes a jump. And also, you need Towns to get better defensively. And there's like, no matter what moves you make, he has to do that. So, yeah. But at the same time, I don't know what else you do, because I don't think you could have just wrote it out with hoping Wiggins would turn it around for another season or whatever. So, this is what they went with.